In this episode, we are going to talk about online presence and how to build your brand, the importance of creating a unique style, and how to communicate with the clients. We will share our thoughts on submissions and many more. Enjoy!
Okay, so here we are again. This is the second episode of our podcast, and we are super happy. After the first one, we got a lot of messages and DMs and emails from you guys, and we got a lot of questions what we try to answer in this episode.
Or in the next ones.
Yeah, we will try most of them. And in this episode, we want to talk about branding yourself and how to promote your work and how to communicate with clients, how to showcase your portfolio to others. So let's jump in.
I think the most important thing is you have to switch and think about yourself as a brand and not anymore like an individual person. I think that was my biggest problem in the beginning.
When you start as a photographer or a videographer, you have nothing out there and you need to build up your ego, and you need to put yourself in a much higher position than what you are at that point, which is really hard.
The hardest thing, I think, for an artist, you're gonna do your work for yourself at first, and then you want to show it to the world, and you have to find the best way to do it. You have to build your name, and lots of people gonna meet first with your work, and maybe they never gonna meet with you as a person.
Yeah.
So it's really important what you're gonna communicate about yourself and how you're gonna showcase your work. I'm thinking about like how you're gonna build your website, which kind of works you're gonna put it out there, which clients you're gonna target, and this connects really closely with how you're gonna build your style.
Yeah, you need to be really, really self-aware. You need to know that why I wanted to do this, where I want to be at maybe a year after this, or 2 years or 5 years later.
It's gonna change during your journey. You also gonna go to different directions. You're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes. Yeah, we did individually as well, and even together.
Let me tell you an example. I started to work with Harper's Bazaar as a fashion photographer, so I did several editorials for them. And one time they asked me if I can do a portrait shoot for the current issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I like to do portraits, but this is not really my profile, or it really depends on the person I have to photograph if I would like to do it or not. So I did it for one time, and I thought maybe it's just a new journey, and I can continue to do my editorial stuff for the same magazine. Mm-hmm. But from that point, the magazine started to ask me for portrait shoots all the time, and even I highlighted I really like to do that as well, but my main goal and what I really enjoy to do, it's more the fashion editorial stuff.
Yeah, the nice things.
No, it could be really nice, the portrait, but of course it cannot be too intimate for a lot of times. So it just really depends on the person or on the situation.
Yeah.
So it could be hard and it could be different. So sometimes you're gonna be super proud of your portrait shoot, sometimes maybe not too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different type of photography. If you want to go for fashion or a portrait, and then you need to pick a side. And if you want to be known as a portrait photographer, then after a while you should just focus on the portraiture.
Yes, and for me, during this example, the hardest part was to go back to the fashion shoot and get hired for what I really like to do. It took 2 years for me.
You mean for this magazine?
For this magazine,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because they put you in a box. Like everyone who ever see someone on Instagram, you already put that person into one category. Like, okay, he's or she is really good in this or that.
Yes, it could be really natural as well. So it could be a natural selection. But for example, if you're gonna do a different test job for a brand, they're gonna ask you to do a still life shoot, because it happened with me one time. So they said this is how they start to work with the photographer. They're gonna test me out during still life, which is really not my focus, and I don't do still life, so it's really risky if I gonna achieve the level what they are looking for. And also how they gonna judge my fashion work. It's a joke, I think. But anyway, I did the shoot, and then they also just kept asking me for the same still life shoots.
It's a trap, basically, because you want to make the client happy. And if someone asking for something different for possible future job, but maybe at that time you shouldn't say yes for this.
Yes, because even if you think you're gonna get a relationship with the client, but it's a really different relationship what you are expecting. So it's harder to change it than start it in the right direction. It happened with us for video as well. Some of the clients asked us for interview jobs.
Yeah.
And
which is really
different
again. Thing, and it was one of the hardest job I ever did. It's super technical. I was afraid for losing the audio, how the person gonna look like on the screen. It was okay. They published it and they liked it, and then later on, a few months later, they asked for another interview with some influencer, and then I had to say no, because although I wanted to work with them, but not as a interview videographer. Yeah, I mean it's hard, but you need to keep in mind the bigger picture. You need to know that, okay, I'm coming from A and going to B point, and if that particular job is not helping you to step up, then you should say no, and it's gonna be better for you in the long term.
And you're never gonna be sure if it was the right decision. So there is no guarantee that if you're gonna say yes or no, the relationship gonna continues in a way you wish for.
You can mess up that job, and then the last impulse what you gonna put in the client, it's gonna be a negative experience. And then they're not gonna call you back because you messed up the previous one. So it's better if you're not trying to risk your reputation with a job you're not comfortable of. So moving forward, let's talk about online presence. So let's start from the website.
I think lots of artists would argue even today if it's really important or not. I find it really helpful to have a website because you can curate it and you can put your new work out there.
But today, social media like Instagram is even more important.
If you want to build followers and if you want to aim for the popularity, yes, Instagram, even maybe Facebook could be important, or Twitter. It really depends on your audience. But for a visual artist, I think, yes, Instagram is really important. But if you are aiming for the big clients, they're going to check your Instagram as well. But I think the first what they're going to check, it's your website. Mm-hmm. And it has to look professional because it's going to make a difference between artists.
Yeah. And it's really important to be your own judge. On your website, you have the power to put up really good works and just hide those or don't even publish those which were not really as good as the rest. Sometimes it's more important to be consistent, because if someone is doing different kind of work, then it could confuse the client. If you were shooting a wedding and you put on a portrait and then a fashion and you do videos as well, mm-hmm. You're trying to do everything and you want to show that to the client that you are like a Swiss Army knife who can do everything, then the client won't be sure that you are the best person to that specific job, because obviously the quality between these different type of jobs gonna be different.
Yes, you have to be really selective. I mean, it's a debate between artists how many photos or videos you should show to the client, because they're gonna check maybe just the first two or the first three. So you cannot be sure they're gonna check everything. So I think it's really important to showcase your best work in the beginning.
If we're talking about our website, viviennetamas.com, by the way, then you're gonna see a featured page, which is our homepage, where we selected 15 jobs, both mixed photos and video jobs, which we wanted to show to the clients.
Yes, because the first impression is the most important. So once the client gonna click on your website, they're gonna have an instant picture about your work.
Yeah. And trust me, they have a special sense to pick the worst.
That's definitely sure.
And many times after meetings, we talk about that. That job shouldn't be on our website anymore, because by the time when we did it, it was one of our favorite. But today it's a bit old and not really represent our current state of quality or current visual.
Yes.
But we didn't hide from our website, and the client just click on that because the picture was nice. We are happy if we can show 6 or 7 work on a meeting, because obviously there are no time to show everything.
Yes, and also we keep more than 10 videos or folders of the images on the website, because we have more to show. So if the client gonna check the feature page, they're gonna get an instant impression of our work and of our style. And then if they want to look forward and go deeper, they can find different images, different videos, and even we opened a new page on our site, which is the advertising. We are not really focused on advertisement, but because we live in Berlin at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of commercial jobs are happening here. For example, in Paris, it's more about fashion. Germany is more about commercial.
Exactly. So since we are living here, it was really important to show to the client, if they want to hire us, they can hire for advertising jobs or more commercial stuff, because also you have to be really aware of your market. If you want to go for purely fashion and high fashion, you should live in Paris, and then you just should highlight only the fashion stuff. And for us, because we are traveling and working within different markets, it was a compromising decision, but we had to highlight that we worked with Nike, we did a campaign for them. So even if sport brands want to hire us, we can do the job. So
the best would be if you can create different websites for each
and different
country.
names.
Yeah, it's really, really tricky, because for the British market, we are more approachable for e-commerce brands or sports brands.
Mm-hmm. You have to balance it out, or you have to compromise. So it's really your decision, and you're gonna see how it works. But you cannot be sure if you're gonna lose an opportunity because of that.
Yeah. Another option could be to highlight on your website that you have a separated portfolio for commercial jobs. And if the client wants to see something, then they can request and you're going to send it. And also we have some separated PDFs for meetings when someone asking for car shoots or portrait or maybe sportswear, then we put together something what we are not advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And you can show it in a private session.
Yeah, that's also an option.
Yeah. So we have the website. Okay, we're gonna start posting on Instagram. What's your thoughts about this?
I'm gonna be honest, Instagram is the biggest pain for an artist. It's getting more and more important for the clients how many followers you have. than what the quality of your job. So you can build a huge follower base on Instagram, but it doesn't mean that you are the best person for a certain job. I'm just saying that because we receiving so many requests from clients that it would be highly recommended to use a model who has the most follower numbers. So it's really unfortunate, in my opinion, to choose a model because she has more followers than the others, and maybe someone who is not really aware of Instagram or just doesn't care about followers and Instagram, she gonna lose the job, but she would be the perfect for that certain job.
Yeah, they're looking at you as or to your Instagram page as like an ad placement. So if you have 10,000 followers, that's fine. But if there is someone who has 20, then probably they can approach more people, which is not really relevant when you can buy followers. I mean, it's a huge pain, and it's fake. Many cases it's fake. It's so hard to stay honest and true.
And how many times you can see someone with a huge follower numbers and 20 or 30 likes on a photo?
Yeah.
So it is just so obvious it's fake. And I think clients also aware of that, but it is just a really wrong trend. I hope it goes away really soon. And I would be really glad if they could remove the likes number or even the followers number from Instagram, because I think it shouldn't affect our job.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a rank for a creative person, because maybe I am the most talented person, but I just started last year, and there is another one against me who built up the follower numbers and also bought something. It's not about the talent anymore. It's not about the right person for a job.
It's about popularity and about influence, but we don't want to be influencers, so it's a really different category.
Yeah. Also, I think it's more important to show your personality on every single platform where you are. You need to communicate with your followers. You need to not just put a like on the comments, but respond to the persons. And that's how you can build up a true follower base who gonna give you the likes, and you don't have to buy those likes. And also the same on YouTube, which is really different than Instagram, because on Instagram, if you have the right hashtags, you can start from zero and see a growth from day one. But on YouTube, it was really, really difficult for me when I started my channel, and for a year, like, didn't have any followers, or maybe just 2 or 3, or I was super happy to have 5. and after a while, when I put up like 10 or 15 videos, somehow the engine of YouTube just kicked in, and I started to see followers. And we really like the community on YouTube and also on other platforms as well, because you can interact with your followers, and they asking questions and you can answer it, and they really appreciate that they get an answer from someone who they follow. And also it's good for us that you can get feedback about your work.
Yes, it's really important. And don't get me wrong, we really like our followers on Instagram as well, and we like the community over there. It's just the pressure from the society, which is really high on the artist over Instagram. That's what should disappear.
Okay, so let's move on to communication. How do you communicate with clients? What's the right approach?
I think it's via newsletter.
Is it still relevant in 2020?
I think so, because you can send out your latest work and you can just say hi. So I don't think you're gonna get instant jobs from a newsletter, but you can still just knock on the door and say, hey, I'm still here. And maybe they're gonna just think, oh, I have an upcoming job. Maybe they're gonna be good for that. And maybe the client wasn't thinking about you.
Yes, because even if you promote yourself on every single platform, there will be clients who won't see your work because maybe they are not following you on social media. They aware of you, but not connected, and it's a good alternative to even highlight previous work, what you did, but it's really important to not spam anyone.
No.
Because that's the worst, because if someone will unsubscribe from you, from your newsletter, then you're gonna lose one channel what you can use on a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
But the other thing what you can do personal meetings, go for a coffee, just do a quick chat. So to have a personal connection, it's always really important. But if you're gonna work internationally, it's hard to spend time with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. But in your hometown or home country, you can visit and you can plan small trips to cities where maybe more production companies are there, and you can visit 2 or 3 or 4 of them. And say hi to everyone, have a coffee together, sit for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, show some of your work, and later on you can keep in touch in emails or newsletters. So that's a good option. Obviously, at this stage, when you can meet clients in person and you can show your portfolio, you already built up something. So that you have the key to their entrance. But what if you are an artist who just started this whole journey as a photographer or videographer, and you don't have anything to show? What options do you have to get your name out there?
If you would like to create, just create for yourself in the beginning.
That's the nicest episode, I think, in every creative's journey, because then you don't have any client above you. So you can do whatever you want.
Yes, exactly. It's just a learning point for yourself. You can try different techniques. You can try different styles. So you can actually just find out what is the most comfortable for yourself. I think it's a really important stage, and you have to be aware of your level at that moment. Because if you are a beginner, just don't spam the biggest brands for campaigns, because it's never gonna happen. So just be aware what you should aiming for in the beginning, and maybe you can start out with small jobs for magazines or for small brands, fashion designers, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's really important to know where are you at what stage in your life, because obviously everyone wants to work with the biggest brands, and if you are too pushy, maybe you can get a shot, but if you're not ready yet, then you're gonna lose the second chance, and then maybe you can forget that brand forever.
Yes, exactly. So, for example, how you can start out, just shoot for yourself, and then you can go for certain model agencies and do a couple test shoots for them. They even gonna pay for you if you are good in it.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get the top models, so don't ask for the top models for the first
time. Top models doesn't need portfolio anymore, so they are not gonna give you a chance to do a test shoot with them if you are a beginner. So, yeah, you can start with new models and just earn small money. But this is really nice in the beginning, because finally you're gonna get paid for the job what you would like to do.
And when you are working with different artists, you can start to build up your own network. Yes. So you can get recommendations, and also if you have your own team, you can do a project. And you can try to do a submission. There are plenty of magazines out there. A submission could be the best thing could happen with an up-and-coming artist who just have their first editorial published in a real magazine, and it's on paper, and you can show it to everyone. That's a really good thing. But when you're doing this thing for years and you're still going back for submissions, I think it's more damaging for the market and also for yourself as well, because every time when someone submit an editorial to a magazine, that means that the magazine didn't pay for that job. I mean, most of the time they're not paying for submissions. So you get zero money, but you have to invest. Maybe you can get the team for free, but you don't get the location for free. You don't get the dresses for free. So you have your money in this.
The problem is lots of magazines are using these options. Even if they could pay for an editorial, they're not going to do it because they can receive tons of ready editorials what they can just print out. And then it means another photographer just lost a paid job.
Absolutely. It's a hard thing, and you cannot ask to just stop this trend, but we wanted to put this out just to make sure that everyone is aware who listen to us. It could be damaging, and whenever you do something for free, you won't be able to charge for that job in the future. And a lot of time when we're shooting for magazine and we got paid for it, we literally started to compete with dozens of photographers who wanted to do the same thing for free. And it's fine if someone else got the job, but I don't want to lose something because I'm just not doing for free.
Yeah, this is one way to look at it, but the other one is also if someone gonna build his portfolio from free submissions and getting the really nice titles, if the client is not aware of this trend, they're not gonna see the difference between the different portfolios anymore.
Like there are so many big titles out there who known for free submissions, and they literally put together a whole magazine with free stuffs. And it's really unfortunate because when you started your journey as a photographer, these magazines were the highest possible milestones what you wanted to get. But when you see that a lot of people get published in these magazines for free, then this damages the magazine's value. So after that point, you don't want to work to get into these magazines, because then everyone's going to think that this was also a free submission.
Yeah, that's what is also really damaging. Even if you're going to do a paid job for the magazines, there is no going to be difference for an outsider if it was paid or not.
Yeah.
It's just the same.
Okay, so let's move on from this topic, and let's say you got an email from a client who really liked your work, and they wanted to hire for a certain job, which isn't fit perfectly in your profile, but they are really nice in an email.
Yeah, that could happen.
How can you say no or yes, or should you say no to something?
First of all, you shouldn't say no immediately. My advice would be what we are also trying to do always. Just try to push the client to the right direction. So let's see if they can change slightly, and it could be more suitable for ourselves. If it's not happening, then you can tell to the client you are not the right person for the job.
It could be really hard to say no, but I think it's the best thing for both sides to be honest.
You have to respect yourself and also the client. So if you feel you are not the best person for the job, then just tell to the client, because they deserve the best.
Honesty is key.
Yes, exactly.
And maybe they gonna appreciate you more. And then later on they can come back with a different job, and then you can say, okay, let's do this.
We can go back where we started about the style. Some of the clients, they're gonna find you because of your particular style. And for example, if you are aiming for a really edgy and alternative magazine's job or a brand, you should have in your portfolio, and also it should be your style. So in the beginning, you have to decide your direction.
Yeah, you need to be consistent, and obviously you can try out different things, but But stay consistent. If you wanted to go for, let's say, ID magazine or something really edgy, then you shouldn't do glossy fashion stories, because then these edgy magazines will never hire you, because they won't see what they represent, and vice versa.
You can try to balance it out and do couple more artistic jobs, but you also have to be aware of the direction.
And this later on affect you in a more professional or higher level when you aim for campaigns. Because if you're working for edgy magazines, you can go into the direction what Supreme represents. But if you want to get Chanel, that's the target, then you should dive deeper in the beauty and more classic visual. And there is a lot of things what you need to think about, and we know that it's a lot, but you're gonna figure it out on the way.
And pick what you enjoy to do the most, because you're gonna do it for years, and I think that's the most important. You still have to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a nice thought.
Also, you mentioned that it's really important to show your personality. So that's what we are trying to do now, even with the podcast, to open up more for our followers and show more about ourselves, because we hide it behind our works. So
we don't want it to show anything else but the work we've done. But after a while, I think people started to miss the personality behind those.
Yes, definitely. It's also a really important part, because you have to be more connected, and also I think you can be more reachable even for the clients.
And nowadays it's super easy to give access to the person itself. You can use anything, like you can use only your Instagram stories. You can show you working on set. That's one way. If you are more open, you can start to do a vlog, and maybe that's how you're gonna show your real personality.
But also it's really hard if you are introvert like us, just to put yourself out there.
Yeah, like this podcast, we never thought that we're gonna do this, and we're already doing so much more what we sign up for. But since we get so many questions and so many requests, so that's why we started to do podcast, and now we started to do tutorials and we're sharing the material we working with. And that's why we started our Patreon page as well, what you can find in the show notes, by the way, where we can share our knowledge with those who want to learn.
We are super happy for your support, and we receive so many positive feedbacks. So thank you so much, guys. And we haven't answered yet so many questions, but in the next episode, we're gonna highlight those as well.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about our workflow. That's gonna be the next episode's theme.
My favorite one is how to give introductions for the models.
Yeah, so this was the second episode of our podcast.
Hope you liked it.
And hope you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
And don't forget to subscribe on our Instagram as well, because as we said, it's a huge competition at the moment.
So just go to Instagram if you're not subscribed yet, and just look for @Vivienne Tamas. Just drop a DM.
Say hi to us.
Okay, this was episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.